All right, so at first I was not going to make a second video today. I was gonna just chill, do whatever. But I saw this tweet and there's a lot of talk about 7th anniversary versus the recent 10th anniversary. Again, as we all know, Dokkan players like to talk about things in the past quite a bit. And we are gonna start this, and it's 7th anniversary being stated to be better than the 10th anniversary as a whole. We're gonna take a look at the 7th anniversary and the 10th anniversary. But first, I'm gonna say this take sucks. It is very bad. Awful take. And the main point here is that the 10th anniversary, whole revisionism, whole 10th anniversary sucks. I don't understand why people are saying this. Okay, well, let me explain. I don't understand why people are thinking this way. I do know why people are saying this, but I think it is for a different reason than you may think. So we'll talk about it right now. Boo was like, getting a free unit solos the 7th anniversary. I think that's low-key a pretty decent argument. As much as people would be like, oh, it's not representative of the entire celebration. And whilst I think that is true, like the 10th anniversary celebration was still very good on its own, of course, one of the best celebrations just ever. Getting a free headliner character is something that Dokkan's almost never going to do, and this celebration will have over. Because no matter what you say, it is a huge part of the 10th anniversary. Getting a free character of any of the headliners. It doesn't even have to be the headliner. It could have been a character you were missing from the 9th anniversary year after the 9th anniversary, of course, but you guys get the point. I myself got Tech Super Saiyan 3 Gotenks. A lot of people could have gotten a lot of other characters from that stone, but most importantly, a lot of people got Agio Gogeta, Tech Vegeta, right? Characters that are still very viable to this day. Considering that's in the same year, but you guys get the point. Then I saw this. Why do you think the 10th anniversary is so good? Oh, we got a free new unit with the 10th anniversary stone. Yep, that was pretty cool. Anything else? And then acting like the 10th anniversary didn't have a ton of content. Acting like the 10th anniversary didn't have a ton of stones, a ton of great things about it, right? And of course, at the end of the day, I think the most important things to people are EZAs, stones, and everything else that, comes with the content itself. But of course, I think one of the big parts that, may be forgetting is the new characters are the things people are most excited about. So obviously, getting Tech LR Super Vegito for free is gonna be the biggest thing talked about the 10th anniversary, because what people care about are the new characters. EZAs are great, but at the end of the day, if you don't get the new character, you will feel pretty sad. A lot of people failed to 44% tickets during the celebration. A lot of people did not get any of the new characters. During the 10th anniversary, that wasn't an issue because at least you're guaranteed one of the headliner characters. Like, I don't know I don't know why that's even like a debatable topic in the first place. And obviously this specific person, Buckboy, is agreeing. It's pretty cool, but they do feel like there's more to an anniversary celebration. And at the end of the day, it's your opinion and how fun the celebration was. But objectively, they gave us a lot of stuff to do. Objectively, they matched a lot of players' wants for short content and long content. And again, we will be talking about this here. And we could probably go ahead and close these. My argument is, did you actually play the game? I'm sorry. Like, if you did play the game, there's stuff to do every 3 to 4 days. There's tons of Super EZAs, tons of EZAs, tons of different content. Lots of different content that shifted our opinions of characters throughout the entire anniversary. So, I think personally, before we actually look into the 7th anniversaries versus the 10th anniversary, well, firstly, it'll be pretty obvious which one is better. Duh. Like, you can clearly tell my opinion. Anyways, I think the big issue that happened with the 10th anniversary content is not what happened during the 10th anniversary itself. Also, easy LR Super Saiyan 4s are mid. I just realized that in your bio. You can clearly tell the type of people that's making arguments. Okay. So continuing on, I think the issue was what happened during the year that made a lot of people very much not favor the 10th anniversary content, because I think during the 10th anniversary the content was fresh and new. It was very fun. We had a lot of different stages again. Well, in fact, I'll just show you guys here all the different stages that we did get during the 10th anniversary. People don't like festival battles, but when it was new, people were interested in it. It just, you know, after a while, people don't like how long this fight is. I think that's perfectly fair. We go ahead and keep down. We got multiple red zone stages, multiple Vegeta story red zone stages, 2 different red zones that each of them had like what 8 or 9 different fights in total. Battle Hard and Formidable Foe is what has 10 stages in total, short content, multiple long content. And I think one issue that people had and people are doing with the 10th anniversary specifically is they hyper focus onto just the last 2 stages. I don't know why that happened, but I guess I kind of do, because people like, okay, in previous years, let's say the 9th anniversary, there was the Blue Gogeta fight, the Beast fight, right? And I think those fights were like, you know, the hardest ones. People hyper focus on those ones because there was not really other stages that were relative. We talk about the Fusion Zamasu era. The Fusion Zamasu fight was by far the hardest one. People zone in on that. Goku Frieza we had before the 9th anniversary. People zone in on that fight specifically. The Omega fight, people locked in on that one specifically. Sin Shenron during the 8th anniversary. You guys get the point. In a lot of these celebrations that were years prior, people hone into just 1 or 2 fights because there was only really 1 or 2 fights that were relevant or relative to the hardest ones since after the 7th anniversary, I would say. Because, you know, 7th anniversary we had Broly and Omega. Super 17 was a difficult fight as well. Then we move on to the Worldwide Celebration Cooler. We had the Metal Cooler fight. I'm trying to think of another fight. I think the Cooler fight, like the Final Form one, was pretty difficult-ish, but really the Metal Cooler Core was like the big one. There's Cell Max. I think the 7th anniversary is pretty decently good overall. But then once we got to the 8th anniversary year, it's like, okay, Sin Shenron into Omega Shenron for Tanabata, into Fusion Zamasu for Worldwide. And, you know, even in that Worldwide Celebration, there was the Trunks and Zamasu fight in the Immortal Will event, but people didn't really like that fight or kind of didn't really pay attention to it. But that's the thing. People were always hyper-focused on just 1 or 2 fights, right? You guys kind of get the point from here. Goku Frieza the next year. The issue is that we did have fights that were pretty relevant and difficult, you know, in comparison to a lot of these other fights. But people hyper-focused on just the Jiren fights. Like, again, these 2 ones right here. Which, you know, I think it's fair if you felt the Jiren fights were the hardest ones and you want to judge your characters based off this fight, that's fair. But I don't know why people are acting like there's no other fights, first and foremost. The Fusion Zamasu fight, it's not like these were like easy fights. Like, there weren't on that Mega Jiren level, but I mean, this boss relatively did some pretty good damage, especially under the 40% HP threshold. These 2 phases weren't really crazy, but this fight as well, I mean, you had a Goku Black lowering defense, instantly super attacking you in slot 1, got this attack and defense buff. Like, this guy was pretty, you know, dangerous to a lot of characters. This fight, I think the AoE damage, it's even higher than some of the, like, Goku Black turn 1. Obviously, you know, this is a longer fight, but like, the AoE damage is not nothing. 800k AoEs and then 1.6 mil normals. He hit for 4.8 mil, right? Of course, the fights right now are harder because it's been a few months after the fact, but you guys kind of get the point, right? Where like a lot of these fights, even like the hit fight, and this is even me, I feel like this hit fight was a lot harder than people give credit for, especially with the dodge disable. A lot of people kind of just ignored this fight though, and you know, whatever, but the hit fights could actually do some pretty significant damage, honestly. And like this one especially, I think this fight was pretty tough, honestly. And then there is the Blue Goku fight as well. This fight got pretty tough. A lot of people didn't like it, but there's the dodge disable. I think one of the issues is maybe the 3 harder fights though, or like all the harder ones in general, had dodge disable. I think it felt a little samey because of dodge disable. That's the only thing I would personally say, but there's a lot more fights than people give credit for when it came to these 2. And then battle hardened foes, I think I see a lot of people talking about, oh, you know, there's a coin flip at the end. Like these fights are fun, but then until you get to the coin flip. But firstly, I mean, yeah, it's the coin flip because you could either do the AoE at super or the normal super. But there's a lot of ways around this, such as attack lowering, right? These fights were the short fights, right? And I think people's issues, maybe there's 3 of them in one, and overall, like compared to like the Goku Black Zamasu fight or even Super Battle Road, these fights will likely take longer, right? But I mean, it's because it was 3 different short fights in one event. I don't know. I feel like, like what, 20 minutes to beat an event? It's kind of was feeling like how Super Battle Road felt, and these would still be shorter turn fights, anyways. So again, at the end of the day, it's your opinion, but there were short fights here. There was more fights here that matter than I think people gave credit for as well, and that was pretty cool, honestly. I mean, I'm trying to think of any other like content that came out, but that's a lot of content already by itself. And I guess we could take a look at here. Some of these fights were a little kind of tricky, but nothing really too crazy, of course. But the main content were those difficult stages, right? There was a lot of them that came out throughout the entire celebration. 30 stages in total, right? So, there was a lot to do during the 10th anniversary. And a lot of the content was fun and fresh, of course, because they're brand new stages. I don't know, maybe I am the crazy one for saying that, but I don't know why I have this open specifically, but we could open that later. And the second thing that I would say happened, or I know why I opened it, is so in the 2024 year, we had the anniversary content. Then a few months later, or wait, this is I had to go to JP specifically to kind of show the point. We had the anniversary content come out. At least this is the JP time frame, JP player speaking. It was pretty fun. We had the Gogeta fights and stuff like that. The Gogeta fight, the Beast Gohan fights, the new Cell Max fight, I think came out, if I'm not mistaken. Or am I misremembering? I think it was the new Cell Max fight here. And then we keep going. Oh, Golden Week came out. Wow, that's pretty cool. We got a new Red Zone during Golden Week. So new fresh fights to drop about, what, 3-4 months after the anniversary. Gave us some new fresh content. Then worldwide, about 2 months later, or even, during Tanabata, we got a new difficult stage as well, which would be kind of the worldwide where worldwide is now. Then during worldwide, we got some more fights, but I would say worldwide this year specifically, we didn't really get the hard fights until the end, to be honest, and a lot of people were disappointed in the content. That's why Goku Frieza was kind of stuck there for a while. That dropped during Tanabata. We even had the Blue Goku and Vegeta fight. That was pretty tough. The issue this year is that there was a lot of flops, I would argue, post-anniversary. So not only did there were there flops for characters in this difficult content, such as Daima Vegeta was a flop. People were not excited for Saiyan Saga, or I would say Saiyan Saga, Episode 1 DB Kid Goku. This is a good character, but as a Saiyan Day pick, I think it is not a good pick. To a lot of people, this was a meh release. Cell, his own team, the second Cell was so weak, and the team itself had issues. So Cell, while I think Cell himself is pretty good standalone in the content, on his own team, I think there is issues there. We go ahead and go to Blue Kaioken Goku, this year's Golden Week. We got no content, no new Red Zone stages, no new Blue Zone stages, nothing. We got the seriously serious fights, but that's kind of just for getting tickets. We didn't have content during the celebration. I think this is the big breaking point of why people don't like 10th anniversary year content, because people are retroactively looking back and they're like, oh, we've been playing this same content since February, and now barely in July we're actually getting new stages that are actually relevant, that are actually different. We've been playing these stages for a while, and a lot of these characters were designed in a way that didn't really clear the fights. I mean, really, the only character post anniversary that I feel like was super mega dominant with a super dominant team is Hit. And, compared to Blue Kaioken Goku, people didn't really care about Hit. Do you see anyone talk about Hit? No. I see people talk about Blue Kaioken Goku still, for a reason. Well, 2 reasons. It's Blue Kaioken Goku, And secondly, he's a flop. Non-fusing Kefla. People also were not a fan of just killing Caulifla as a tag. I thought it was an interesting choice, but after Blue Cow can flop, after PyCon LR, after Daima Vegeta flop, Saiyan Saga, almost keep saying Saiyan Saga, Saiyan Day, right? They wanted Blue Falcon to be a strong character. Because a lot of these characters that people were very interested in were either, or a lot of these celebrations people were interested in, either had a flop character in terms of their design, or the characters that were good they weren't interested in. People got bored of the content because a lot of these characters that were coming out weren't really good, so a lot of people were just sticking, I think, with their 10th anniversary teams, and it got repetitive because of that. And I again would not say it's not an issue of what happened during the 10th anniversary, it's an issue of what happened after the 10th anniversary. And that's why this content felt so repetitive to a lot of people. That's why people got bored of this content, because it was the only thing that they could really play. Right? We had the Tao celebration. I mean, Tao was good. No one cared. I'm like, people don't care about Tao like that. People don't care about 22nd World Tournament 10 like that. People who do care about them had a lot of fun during this month, of course, because these guys were really good designed. Yamcha was really good, but most people kind of didn't care. This was right before what we would know as the Global Dokkan campaign, so why would you summon during this month, realistically, unless you're huge mega fans of these characters? And then now, in the Global Dokkan campaign, people had a lot of fun with all the LRs and things like that, right? And I'm not gonna say that, like, Super Saiyan 2 Gohan couldn't have been a little better, Blue Evolution Vegeta could have been a little better. You know, I think Goku Frieza was way better than people give credit for. I was on the Goku Frieza train since day one, and guess what? A lot of people like him now. Go figure, right? Even then, Super Saiyan 2 Gohan does better now than people give him credit for, especially with that new youth team. Which I'm not gonna consider that for like how people felt about him a few months ago, but Blue Evolution Vegeta is a bit silly, but he's actually still a lot better than people give him credit for too. The EZAs during the celebration. Wuhan is very good. Jinebo is quite effective, 90% dodge in a lot of spots. Angel Super Vegito, I would say at the end of the day was a flop, of course. I thought he was kind of fun, but S tier Super Gogeta, you know, and fights without AoEs, you can still use this guy. Like, I haven't used him specifically in some of these newer fights. I know the Goku Black Zamasu fight he wouldn't be that great in, but I feel like I could see this guy being used in some of these newer fights. It's just that, I don't know, people don't really use him because the Fused Fighter team just has better options at this point, realistically. Namago Kung Fu Fire Frieza, I think this guy was pretty nice in Festival. I think they could have been a little better, but they're still pretty good. I mean, Frieza was a very nice option for, okay, well, I wouldn't say pretty good, but Frieza was a very nice option for the short content in the I did like this guy in Battle Hardened Foes, and you know, as stacker characters they could be used in some of the red zone stages. This guy actually was pretty easily able to be used in the Jiren fights and in Festival. Grade 8 Vegeta was really good. This guy was a flop. Like, I think this guy and he just Super Vegeta were the two real flops. This guy I used on the youth team. Texel was really good. 7th anniversary Z's are really good. These two are really good, the GG Goku and Vegeta. This Vegeta Super Easy was but like most of the characters had a very viable like kits to be used in this content. But again, post 10th anniversary, that's the only content we really had to play because Golden Week did not give us a new stage. I think if Golden Week gave us new stages, people would feel a lot better overall, because then, okay, we wouldn't have to be playing the same stages for 5 to 6 months. And that's really the big issue there. When it comes to the 10th anniversary content, again, not during the 10th anniversary, I think it's after. And I said this here, during the 10th anniversary, we had 3 to 4 days of content dropping every single 3 to 4 days, man. I mean, again, we scroll down and just look at the amount of stuff that came out. EX part right here on the 5th of March. Then we keep scrolling down here on the 12th. Right here, we got Festival of Battles. And again, that was still the EX part, but we had multiple of these stages dropping every single week. We had EZAs dropping every single week. Again, so we had this as well. This wasn't really crazy, but at least it was something to do. This was stuff to do right here as well, with the Purunga collecting campaign, the tickets that were available. These events would give you a lot of stones, right? Training in the Clouds was introduced here. Of course, the new characters, which we can get one of them for free. But even then, they had the pity system here if you saved your stones for them. Then we go ahead and keep going down here. Super Easy A's that dropped, Easy A's that came out. Ultimate Clash. A lot of people, I'm not going to consider that like as a very fun thing, but it was again, there's a lot to do. Like, we just keep scrolling down here, man. Look at all these super easy A's. People don't consider like super easy A's or easy A's content. I think that's funny, especially considering that these characters you could have gone for free with your redstones, right? I mean, there's just so much that happened here. Like, I keep scrolling down, and then okay, let's take a look here. I keep trying to close that. Let's take a look here at the 7th anniversary X part, right? 2 free-to-play LRs during the anniversary is pretty cool, right? We had the Super Saiyan 4 Easy Ace, which is very nice, right? I like these guys. I think they were good on release. Here's again the other free-to-play LR here. These two were fun to use, but they were not invincible. I think they were a little undertuned, and the fusing condition could have been changed to be much better. Chain battle was a thing. A lot of people didn't like chain battle. The content here was really good. I will admit, the content here was really good. And if you like the content from the 7th anniversary more than you like the content during the 10th anniversary, I'm gonna throw Master of the Air. I think it's a fair argument because, again, at the end of the day, it's opinionated based. But I think having short and long content was really good. And this was a total game reset more so, I would say, than the 8th anniversary or the 10th anniversary still. New missions for these events were fun for extra stones, but it's not like people were like, oh yes, I love doing this event still, right? At that point, the events, I mean, the Legendary Vegeta event was like relatively new. It was not even a year old, but people didn't like these two, their designs. People really like the part 1 characters. Easy A's were like overall, I think, good, like Tech God Goku, Gogeta, but Omega didn't have a home. God Vegeta was a little weird. I still think that, overall they did well on the content that they released in, and as characters we could say they were good, but yeah. And that was like kind of the 4 main Easy A's there outside of part 3 and part EX, which again, those LR Easy are really huge. It's really interesting we haven't gone boss rush in a while. Equipment here, but like again, like we're kind of scrolling down here. Battlefield, and while 7th anniversary is good, I mean, very obviously, even relative, it's just the 10th anniversary has way more content. The 10th anniversary has way more stuff to do, and that's just because, well, duh, it's 3 years later. There's more stuff introduced in the game. They go higher and higher every year, for the most part. So I really like, I don't know. I truly don't get it. And then, I had this response from someone here. By far the most packed content with Celebration to date, but you're not enjoying the game at all after it ended. No event, no unit really hooked me up with the game anyway, with the way you usually am. Sums up your experience. First time account you felt a burnout from Dokkan. So much stuff during the 10th anniversary start to finish. Then the content wasn't really something you'd want to come back to play again, nor were the units hype after. And then again, I would say if the units were either exciting or better, people would be playing these events because they would be having fun with these characters. Or, stuff like that, right? And at the end of the day, you don't have to like the content. You don't even have to like the 10th anniversary, but I still think objectively, there's a lot here. It wasn't great. I mean, this is Rody. Rody's takes I don't necessarily agree with a lot of the times. So we got content every 3 days ago, but when half the content felt like Amatsu giving us the middle finger, I don't know. I really don't see it. Like, I think, well, firstly, I think you're just taking things too much to heart, maybe. But like, a lot of the releases were good. And again, even if you had issues with Super Saiyan 2 Gohan Blue Evolution, Goku Frieza, I think, was so overhated, especially this guy. Maybe you didn't like these two or this guy. They're still like objectively just like really good characters that a lot of people did like during this campaign. And I don't care what people say. Getting a free tech Super Vegito is crazy good. I'm sorry. Like, getting the free anniversary character is crazy good. And obviously, that's not gonna take away from how you felt about the campaign itself, but I know Rody did make a thread talking about this here. You had to go out of way to run worse setups to make the stages somewhat hard. So, yeah, again, you had to go out of your way to not use the Fuse Fighters team for the content to feel difficult and challenging. And the Fuse Fighters team, I would say, clearing all the events very easily compared to the other teams that released was not a good idea, and I do agree with that. But we're talking about during the anniversary, it was very fun, it was very cool. Dokkan feeling and a lot of aspects, I think, post the 10th anniversary is something to talk about the 10th anniversary year in itself, not the 10th anniversary in itself, if that makes sense, right? Like, I'm not gonna judge the 10th anniversary based off what happens in April. That's, again, my opinion. I'm not gonna judge the 10th anniversary based off of what happens in Golden Week, you know? Let's just keep going down here. People hyper focused on the 2 last words. Again, that's what I'm saying here. There is way more content available than people kind of give credit for. And it did a lot great, but even had its issues during UC design. Yeah, DKP was very disrespectful. You do think a big thing of quality content left in the game is most boring meta? I mean, if you didn't like it, I think that's up to you. But during the anniversary, you can't say that there is nothing to do with the anniversary is boring. Like, I really, like, there was so much to do. Even if you, at the end of the day, didn't like the content as much, it's still a lot that they gave us, right? Issues of the festival obvious, but that being far, the hardest event just felt bad. Bout of hardened foes started cool, but ended with each stage being the same thing, except some had AoEs. Red zones were undertuned offensively, mechanically there was no threat to decent teams, and it was just beating your head against the wall. I mean, I could see that because, like, the AoEs and stuff, like, longer events are always going to be inherently easier than shorter fights. I just feel like the last 2 stages of Battle Hardened Foes did feel a little similar. I will give you that, of course. But there's still, like, difficult fights for a lot of content. And again, that's them doing it where different characters will be good in different fights. I think they handled it way better during Global Dokkan campaign, 100%. I think the only thing really missing from the Global Dokkan campaign is, like, an actual really hard long event. But it's kind of tough to do that, right? Because long events, you have so much time to prepare. So that's why people really like shorter events compared to longer events. And that's, again, I keep saying it over and over again, opinionated. Even I prefer shorter events to longer events, right? But I think long events were able to really use your characters instead of like, oh, you know, a lot of these characters I'm not able to use because they're stackers and stuff like that. Giving us the ability to actually do that is awesome. And I think that's something people were missing or people were forgetting. Leading up to the 10th anniversary, people were so much asking for long fights to actually use these characters. And we got that, and we still got short fights. And just because the fights got stale, again, I don't think it's representative of what happens during the anniversary. Because at the end of the day, if you're going to play the same fights for this 6 months, it is going to get stale, no matter what, right? But yeah, anyways, that's kind of, especially with the same team, and especially with all the characters, a lot of them people weren't really interested in, so I'm ending it like that. I think the issue is not the 10th anniversary again. The issue is what happened after. But let me know what you guys are thinking. Maybe I'm crazy. Maybe I'm insane. Whatever. I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace out.